there's a very good reason why this episode is late. The first reason is I'm lazy. But I had started like an idea. It was an old story idea I had from a while ago. That I only had of course, the story idea. I didn't really know how to create it or work it out. And Valentine's Day had passed, and I was like, I should do like a love story. And the whole idea I had was like a weird love story. So I was like, let me do it. And I started researching, looking it up. How am I going to create it and trying to remember everything that I thought about the idea earlier on. And I was like going and using like the AI image tools to create like an image. It really didn't work like when I was trying to create, but that's fine. And then I was working this idea. I was taking notes. I was breaking down. And I randomly listened to an episode of a podcast where they were talking about the DC snipers. And I was like, oh no. I was like, because my idea is based on a couple on a road trip. And one of the partners in the couple has split personalities. So they keep changing who they are. And the DC sniper was about two guys riding around sniping people. And I was like, oh no. I was like, it's too much of a coincidence. So I didn't want to make it because it even if like two people in a car, but it kept ringing over in my head because of the AI image generator I was using was basically creating just two guys in a car. And then I was thinking about the DC snipers and how they got caught in the car and they were the whole thing. I was like, it's meshing too much in my head, and I didn't like that. So I was like, shoot, I'm not going to do that episode. But then it got me thinking about older ideas, stuff I've just randomly thought of, or if I've done already, to revisit those. Because I've been on a few episodes on here, and I was like, maybe like old things that could never work out and create more on. I should bring back up here. It's like that old visual of the writer throwing paper balls at the wire mesh trash can, and then later on opening up a random one, and it's like an old idea they had and they're actually correct about something. That's what I'm doing. I'm going through my old trash ideas pretty much. No. Never talk bad about yourself. That's rule 1 of writing. Never talk bad about yourself. But yeah, so I was like, another idea I could do is an older one I had. So this one is either called it's kind of like the early idea I had with the road, but it's not like a road trip. It's just the visual I saw in real life that inspired me. But it's a couple in a car. Not like a road trip, not snipers. It was a random couple like I saw in real life. Driving. I was leaving Miami Beach. I used to work on Miami Beach, and I was leaving. There's always a lot of traffic in Florida, South Florida in general. But I was in traffic. I can't remember if this was 2020 during the pandemic or right or before. But I don't know. But it was a couple, and it was just like an older couple in the car, like next to me in traffic. When you're stuck in traffic, you just start looking around at other people instead of, trying not to look at your phone. And they were just like an older couple in the car, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, some average day, some average time. But I don't know why that image of them stuck with me. Like they weren't talking to each other. It was just like they were just sitting in the car looking straight ahead. The whole time we were next to each other in traffic. And I don't know why that like visual has always stuck with me, because it's been like a couple years. Like it's 2024 now. And I think it was either 2020 when COVID was happening or right before, maybe the previous year. But yeah. So to this old idea I had, I created this whole backstory for the couple in my head about the situation they were in. Because there's nothing wrong, nothing like I've probably seen like similar couples driving home or people driving home. You make eye contact with someone, or you just see someone for what seems like a long period between traffic, So the backstory for the couple, sorry, I'm rambling. that I came up with in my head randomly when I saw them, and they stuck with me. That they were a couple working together, like they had retired and needed to work again, or that's what I was trying to think, because it was COVID. A lot of people got laid off, so a lot of them went to doing Postmates and Uber Eats and grocery delivery and all that stuff, because, you know, a lot of people lost their jobs during COVID. That's why I'm thinking this happened during COVID. Like they were in that situation where, you know, COVID lockdown, somebody lost their job or whatever happened situation, but they have to work together now because maybe they only have one car or they have to downsize. And to be like delivery drivers, like you go to the grocery store, go to restaurants, pick up food and deliver it to people, home delivery stuff. So you're always on the road. You're always driving to different places. But they're that typical older couple who have been together 20, 30, 40 years. So they've gotten to like that boring, you know, old couple routine you always see where they barely talk to each other or they argue all the time, you know, stuff like that. You see that old stand-up routine. My wife, take my wife. But like they're like that couple, but they're forced into this situation where they have to be in the car together all day long or however long they're working and driving. So they're forced to basically open new communication channels. And that would have been like the story. Like you get backstories for this couple that like you see all the stuff they've been through and all the possible like arguments and I want a divorce and, you know, raising kids and all that and being older, thinking you're settling down and this thing happens. That's what I said. It's probably during COVID or after COVID where everybody gets thrown on their head and everything changes. What all your plans kind of thrown out the door for most people. And you're forced into this life again of working. But the good thing about it is the short story long or the long story short, because I originally visualized this as a short story. So that them being forced into this situation together all day long driving would make them reconnect with each other, seeing each other in different lights. That's always important. Like in, what's it called? Sitcoms. That happens. Well, it's like the couple that's been married forever, that they do something out of the norm, or it's like that movie Date Night where you see your partner in a different light and you getting, you know, a newfound respect for them and you're attracted to them differently now because you've seen each other in these different ways. That will kind of be the part of the story, how you're forcing this communication because, you know, one may be looking on the phone, like giving directions and doing the ordering and wants to drive around. So you have to basically not just your normal old couple thing, driving to the store, you know, going for a Sunday drive, you know, you get yourself out of the routine and they reconnect as a couple. They get all these flashbacks and it will also be told through the music that was playing like on the radio or on whatever streaming service. Maybe it's the radio for this older couple, and the music flashbacks and shows them their backstory, how they met and how they first, you know, fell in love and all that stuff. It'll be reminding them. And that's how the story is told, through like essentially flashbacks. And then it made me, that was like kind of my original idea for the story. And then it made me think again about another older idea that I've still been working on. So like a long-term project. Because it came from my previous podcast that was started and like I didn't continue with it, but it's kind of the parent to this one. It was called Stop Watching, where it was originally, the original version of it was Stop Watching The Office, where some people always say to me, you're always watching The Office. You're always watching The Office, which I did. Like when Office was on Netflix, that was like one of the first streaming shows I really got into. And I love it. I mean, The Office is great. And I always watch it on streaming. It was my comfort show. So I created the podcast Stop Watching The Office to force myself into, you know, find other favorite shows or find other things to watch or, you know, get myself out of the routine and habit. And then that became, I did that for a while. Then that changed to just Stop Watching, where instead of me trying to find stuff new stuff to watch, I just say, I was going to create my own workplace sitcom. And it was basically like this one. It was before like AI chatbots really were known like how they are known now, where it was just, I was trying to write sitcoms, basically workplace or situational sitcoms, which situational sitcom, like sitcom is short for situational comedy. But yeah, and then I didn't keep up with that like most things. And then I started this show, Dumb Test Late, from that. So there's if you ever look me up, there's many podcasts that I've tried and got a couple episodes in, but stop watching. Okay. Stop watching. That was like that's a long project I'm still working on, because it went from sitcoms to movies, and I was just trying to kick around ideas to, I nailed one down, but it was going to be an overarching theme. It was set like in the 1950s in Miami Beach, where there would be like speakeasy and underground LGBT clubs, like how you have like drag brunch and, drag clubs and all that stuff, and, gay bars and all that. I mean, I was about to say now things are much better where those are out and open, but it's a weird time. But of course, back then in the 50s, especially Miami Beach, really conservative area where that wouldn't be out. Like you can walk down the street and, go to see a drag show right now. But back then it all has to be undercover. It'd be underground. And that would be the setting for that I was working on. That was, like I said, the overarching thing. So you have different stories based on different people, and there'd be a lot of people who are transplants, just like South Florida is. Like there's people from all over the place, and that would be like they would be escaping something or looking for a better life because they're part of the LGBT community. It would be like alt, what we consider like alt entertainment or something like that, but it'd be all underground. So you have all these characters coming from, different backgrounds, different places that came here looking to be safe, because of the lifestyle, or, at that time, it would probably be crazy for a woman who wanted to lead a band or play an instrument. Like you escape that. But they all have this connection, and it would be, the regular resorts and restaurants and bars during the day. But at night, it would be the underground shows, the drag shows, the gender swapping performances, all that stuff, all that crazy. And it'll be blending with, people from different cultures and all this stuff. So you have this great thing with music and culture, and the LGBT lifestyle and all that stuff, and drag performances, early drag performances, but all be underground. And you would show how people who during the day they are, a waiter, but at night, they put on a dress and they're a flamingo dancer. Like you would show the change, and you would show how they had to operate underground. And then all the stuff with, when you're going underground, you have to deal with mafias and, corrupt police and all that stuff. So that was the stop watching idea I was working on. Like one of the first, I would build out a story of like one place. Like in Miami, there's a place back, I don't think it was in the 50s, maybe in the 60s, I found it was called the Russian Bear. And of course, I would say I would name one of the places the Russian Bears, because you have Russian, like maybe the person who started it is, left Russia to come to Miami Beach to hide out, and they have this backstory. But in Bear, is nomenclature in the gay community, and you have this like double entendres. Like there was this whole thing I came up with, like posters written in like this hidden code where you think it means one thing, but the people in the know will know, oh, the secret show was at this time because the poster says that. And yeah, I had all that stuff. So I was like, maybe this idea I had, the delivery couple, it can flash back even further to this early idea I had to stop watching one, because maybe that's how they met at one of these underground clubs, because that happened because I was using the night cafe I think I use for the images. If you ever go to my website, dumbtestlate.com, or my Instagram, dumbtestlate, you can see some of the AI generated images I try to create based on the ideas. When I was doing that, it kept generating, I think the prompt was of like older Hispanic couple, because, the couple I literally saw was an older Hispanic couple, but of course this is set in like Miami. It kept coming up with two women. And I was like, oh, like, that's good. Like, I like the way it looked. And I was like, and that's what made me connect to, because Miami Beach and all that stuff. My old idea about the underground clubs and the LGBT clubs and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, like the visual of it would be an older lesbian Hispanic couple that kept popping up when I was doing the image generation. And I was like, maybe their story goes way back to my stop watching story. They met at one of these clubs there. They were escaping this, or they were, working at this club, but they were, dancers in, men's clothes at the underground club and all that stuff. Because then after flashback, I used the AI image generator again. So I was like, maybe to show the flashback, I was like, I forgot what prompt I used, but it came back with a really good one where it's the same. It kind of looks like the same older couple that would for the image of them driving around today. The image that was generated, I think it was like, I said like 50s Flamingo Club or something, but it showed two people dancing who kind of looked like that older couple. But one was, of course, like in the usual, she was appearing as a woman with long hair. She was in this really nice white or red dress. Check out my Instagram. It'll be on there, or the website. But the second one was still the female. It was similar to the female face from the old couple, but she was dressed as a man. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. It's all connecting now. The AI is inside my brain. So it's all connecting to the old idea. So I was like, maybe this will be the start of the story setting now. But like I said, with the music in the car, it's told through flashbacks. And it flashes back to my prior story from Stop Watching the Clubs in Miami. And I connected all that. So I was like, I'm going to go way back with this. So maybe it jumps back and forth, or it's the present time is just the current setting. But that what links it to the past, the Stop Watching stories with the clubs and everything, the underground clubs in Miami. And then the couple, because I made the determination to be an older lesbian couple. It made me think of another podcast episode I was listening to from another show called You're Wrong About, which is a really good show. That they also did the DC Sniper one. There was a story revolved around this woman named Kitty Genovese in New York. I don't think it was in the 50s, or it might have been in the 60s or something. But the story is she was killed in front of 30 witnesses and no one called the police. But that's the point of the podcast You're Wrong About, where that was the headline, but they go into the backstory and all this stuff. I won't go into all the backstory of her, but she was killed in New York, unfortunately. But the backstory of her, she was a bartender, which is amazing. I think it was early 60s at a club, I think it was a gay club. She was a lesbian, and she met her partner like on the dance floor. Like she just walked up to her, they danced, they had a great time, and they ended up like separating. But she found out who she was. Kitty Genovese is the person I'm talking about. Like she just, I guess somehow, and then went to her apartment and like left her a note, and they ended up falling in love and being together. I was like, that's amazing. That's my couple. And then, but of course she has like a tragic ending to her life. But I was like, in my story, in my fiction, I'm going to write revisionist history where she does not die. She fights her attacker back. She beats him up. He gets arrested. She and her partner live for many years in New York. They retire and come to Miami Beach. Or no. The whole, yeah, okay. They don't retire. They're still young. They're still together, but they're having a hard time being a lesbian couple. And it's in the 50s. Okay. I'm writing my revisionist history. They leave New York and come to Miami Beach to work at one of these because they hear it through the grapevine about these underground clubs. And you can, it's the best place for people who are LGBT and, of different lifestyles, where they can come and get work. And have the opportunity to perform at these underground clubs. So they hear that from New York. They leave New York and come down, and they work at one of these clubs together. Kitty Genovese is the bartender. Her partner is like a waitress during the day. But at night, she dons a suit. No, she doesn't don the suit. At night, she's a flamenco dancer who goes from a suit to like a beautiful like flamenco wear. Like she comes out dancing in a suit. and like short hair, but it's a wig and like a fake mustache, and she's dancing by herself. But slowly she rips off the wig and her long hair comes out, and she tears the suits off in different parts. She's a beautiful flamingo dress that's spinning around the dance floor. That's what she does. Kitty Genovese is the one wearing the suit as the bartender. That's going to be my background for the couple doing the deliveries. That's how they met. You know, the normal life all those clubs get shut down. They get normal jobs. Maybe they adopt kids or just have cats, and they get old and boring together. They get in a routine until something happens, COVID or maybe something else, where they're forced into this car together. And they have to work together, and they have to learn how to recommunicate by seeing each other in different circumstances. They have to work through their old arguments that they have with each other all the time. You have to let that go because they're both old, so they're bad with technology. Like only one uses the phone and the other one drives. But they have to they're forced to communicate in different ways, and they see each other different light. And every now and then in their car, they have a classic car. So they only listen to like radio, and they'll listen to like a classics station in Miami Beach, and they'll play songs that will remind them about them working in the club in my older story idea. And that's how the story is going to be told. So that's what I sat with. It's like, this is how I'm going to be. I'm going to write revisionist history and Kitty Genovese and her partner. And I'm sorry to her partner. I don't know. I didn't look up her name. But I'm writing them revisionist history that Kitty Genovese was never killed. And they ended up in Miami Beach. That's my revisionist story idea. Yeah. So, which leads me to my next point. I'm going to try hard. To go down this avenue to create newer episodes from this. To stop watching with the clubs in the past, and this could be the first story about the delivery couple, how it starts in the past and goes back and forth to their lives today. Because hopefully I'll try to redo this one. There was another story I wrote. I actually did write a story. It was a short story from this old stop watching idea. Like I said, it's a big overarching thing that I'm building out all these stories from. Last year I did a short story competition. I submitted a story called Yuri Sits Alone. And it's about a person who, like I said, that club I came up with, the Russian Bear, for the story in the past. It was a short story about Yuri sitting alone, like he's sitting alone in the Russian Bear. And it kind of flashbacks to his past with a lover that he can't save. So he ends up leaving Russia and coming to the Miami Beach, and he starts the Russian Bear. Let me just say that. And that was the short story, is like Yuri, and you see his past, because a lot of the people who are here working at these underground clubs are escaping something. Like he was like a Russian bear. He was a big guy, but then he came here to escape persecution, being, part of the LGBT community, being part of a different lifestyle and all that stuff. So that's what I wrote the short story. I submitted. Of course, I didn't win anything. So I'm going to try to revisit it and write it again or expand on it. And that will be the next episode, because that'll be the next story, because I'm going to, I'm rambling, to stop watching the old idea. I'm going to go down that avenue with these as my new overarching idea to make individual episodes about. That's like what I'm trying to say, the avenue I'm going down next. Yeah, my computer just turned the display off because I've been talking for 24 minutes. My computer was like, yeah, you don't need to see anything. I panicked that Audacity stopped recording. But yeah, that's my my current idea. I didn't even do an AI suggestion or what they thought about this one, because I know I was going to talk for a while about this, because bringing up old ideas. But yeah, I'm the first promise I'm making to myself that I'm going to revisit my short story that I wrote, Yuri Sits Alone, rewrite it. When I feel like I've rewrote it enough, I'll put it on my website, Dumb Tessellate. But yeah, that will be the next episode. But yeah, I think it's called, I don't know. I wrote down in my notes, Delivery Couple, which is terrible. I can't think of a name for this one. I really haven't thought about it. I was thinking about our ride, but no. I'll think about a better one and remind myself to do that for the next episode. But yeah, this is still sorry if you throughout the show if you heard a dog barking, the hellhound from next door is still outside. So sorry if that noise popped up. But yeah, I'm still Kirk. I'm still Dumb Test Slate. That was my idea. Hopefully you all liked it. Hopefully I can revisit it and expound upon it. But yeah, thanks again. Catch you on the next one. Goodbye.